Welcome to the second lecture on leadership, and in this lecture we'll be introducing leadership theory. And as this is just an introduction, the expectation is that you can use the online library that's connected with this module, or you can access the libraries in your workplace or place of study to go and locate the textbooks and the papers that will allow you to explore these issues further. We'll be putting some references for you to explore these issues further. So in this lecture on leadership and introduction to theory, we will be introducing leadership as a paradigm, leadership versus management, leadership theories, the link between leadership and compassion, leadership theories and innovation, and leadership theories, what this means in terms of challenges. So leadership is a topic that has been debated for the last 100 years or more, and as a result many models and theories of leadership have been produced. The lecture will cover the most popular theories that have emerged out of the leadership paradigm. That's trait, style, situational, contingency and transformational. In recent years, researchers have developed new theories that combine both leadership and innovation. In your reading and reflection, you may want to consider management versus leadership. Are these two terms interchangeable, or are they specific and different aspects? Supporters of a dichotomy between management and leadership argue that managers control and leaders inspire. So to explore this a little bit further, management would be seen as about process and order, managing chaos in an organisation, and this would be achieved by implementing processes such as planning, organising, staffing and controlling. Leadership, on the other hand, could be seen as being beyond these organisational processes. Leadership can be seen as having influence on people to inspire change and the motivation to achieve shared goals. The two terms are often blurred in the workplace, and it's worth reflecting on your role in the dementia workforce. In your role, to what extent do you feel that you're involved in management? To what extent do you feel you're involved in leadership? And how do these two concepts overlap? In terms of your personal development, which we'll explore next week, which aspects do you need to develop? Management, leadership, or both? And it's also worth considering where your strengths lie at the moment in terms of the management aspects versus the leadership aspects. And which of these you need to be particularly strong in? Is it that you need to be particularly strong in both? Or is there more of a management or an inspiring leadership strength to your current role? So in your reading, to further understand the similarities and differences between management and leadership, you may come across concepts as highlighted in this table here. And this is taken from Cotterman's book, Leadership versus Management, What's the Difference? So the processes that Cotterman uses to analyse the similarities and differences between management and leadership are vision establishment, human development and networking, vision execution and vision outcome. For vision establishment, a management approach would be very much focused on planning and budgeting, developing process steps and setting timelines, and displaying interpersonal attitude about the vision and the goals. A leadership approach to vision establishment would be focused on setting the direction and developing the vision, developing strategic plans to achieve the vision, and displaying very passionate attitude about the vision and goals. If we look at human development and networking, a management approach would focus on organising and staffing, maintaining structure, delegating responsibility, delegating authority, implementing the vision, establishing policy and procedures to implement vision. A management approach would display a low level of emotion and would limit employee choice. A leadership approach on human development and networking would be very much about aligning an organisation, communicating the vision, mission and direction, influencing creation of coalitions, teams and partnerships that understand and accept the vision, and would display driven and high emotional approaches to the work. A leadership approach would increase choice for people involved in that aspect of the work. In terms of vision execution, a management approach would focus on control of processes, identification of problems, solving problems, monitoring results, and taking a low-risk approach to problem solving. A leadership approach to vision execution would focus on motivating the members of the team and inspiring the members of the team. A leadership approach would energise employees to overcome the barriers to change. A leadership approach would be aware of the needs, the basic human needs that need to be satisfied in the employees with regard to their activities and the vision that's being implemented. In terms of vision outcome, a management approach would manage the vision and in terms of order and predictability. A management approach would provide expected results consistently, and these were presented to the leadership and other stakeholders. The leadership approach to vision outcome would promote useful and dramatic changes, such as new products or approaches to improving workplace relations. So at this point it may be worth pausing and just reflecting on your work role and the aspects of your work that you're going to see how you could develop as a leader, and consider vision establishment, human development and networking, vision execution and vision outcome as a framework for your reflection. You can also comment on the discussion board to share with your fellow students your learning through undertaking this reflection. So after undertaking your own personal reflection, you may want to consider management versus leadership in your organisation. After undertaking reading and reflection, do you agree with the dichotomy, or do you feel that there's an overlap, or are these terms synonymous with each other? Reflect on people who you work with. Can you think of examples of managers and leaders in your workplace? Are these skills and attributes demonstrated by the same person or by different people? In terms of the organisation that you're working in or have worked in the past, do you think an organisation can exist without both leaders and managers? And do you think both leadership and management is required for innovation? So again, these are points that you can include in your online discussion and collaboration for this section of the module. In your reflection and your summary, you may have identified colleagues who are leaders but are not in managerial positions, and vice versa. And although a contested subject, understanding the difference between management and leadership will give you a greater understanding of what skills have been found to be effective to lead innovation in the workplace. So let's explore the first of the leadership theories that are included in this section of the module. There are additional leadership theories, but we'll just stick with the ones that we've included here. So starting with trait leadership. This theory is one of the first to be developed in the leadership paradigm and holds the belief that leaders are born, not made. What are your thoughts on this statement? Again, maybe just pause and consider this in your reflective journal, and you can also share your thoughts on the discussion board. So you may want to undertake some additional reading on trait leadership, and a quick summary is that trait leadership developed in the 1920s and 30s and relates to phrases that you might hear such as he or she is a born leader. Trait leadership focuses on the leader as an individual rather than the group or the situation, and involves the identification of a set of traits that are inherent to the person. One of the limitations of this theory is that it restricts leadership to the chosen few. Following the trait theory, the behaviour style theory was developed. Like the trait theory, this theory focuses on the individual. It does challenge the trait theory by arguing that leaders can in fact be made, not born. This theory argues that leadership effectiveness is based upon behaviour rather than personality traits, and identifies two approaches: leadership based on relationships, relationship-oriented management, and leadership based on processes, so if you're looking at management speak, task-orientated management. So again, this approach to leadership, this leadership theory, is something that you may want to do additional reading on and reflect on your leadership style and share these thoughts in the discussion group. So if we look at skills leadership theories, this These different approaches, these theories, take the view that leadership goes beyond people skills and requires knowledge and competences to be able to effectively lead. The capabilities that you must possess are a combination of traits and experience. Katz et al. In 1955 and later Mumford and Zuccaro et al. Developed two lists of skills that they argue are required for effective leadership. So Katz considered that technical skills, human skills and conceptual skills were significant. Mumford-Zuccaro et al. Considered that complex problem-solving skills, solution construction skills and social judgment skills were important. So you may want to reflect on the concepts used by Katz and those used by Mumford-Zuccaro et al. To consider leadership in your role, leadership in your organisation, and the areas that you need to develop in terms of your leadership. In her lecture on leadership and the leadership that she used when implementing the Dementia Action Alliances, Grace highlighted contingency and situational leadership, and this involves leaders matching their style of leadership to situational factors, and this relates to Fiedler's contingency theory, that leadership style will either be task motivated or relationship motivated. Aspects to consider are the member relations and the leader's relation to the members. How well do the manager or the leader and the employees get along? Task structure should be considered. Is it structured, fairly structured, or somewhere in between? And then position of power. How much authority does the manager or the leader possess? So using Fiedler's contingency theory, look at the aspect of dementia care, services, support that you're considering throughout this module, and look at these different aspects of leader and member relations, task structure, position and power, and are there areas where the situation matches well your current strengths? Are there aspects of the situation where you'll need to develop your strengths, your communication skills, your leadership skills? So these theories, the contingency and situational leadership theories, argue that there is no one way to lead. It should be dependent on the context. So these theories argue that as there is no one way to lead, it should be dependent on the context. For example, followers with a high level of commitment but low level of competence to carry out the task require a directive or a telling leadership style, which specifies the who, what, where and when of the task. In contrast, followers with high levels of competence but low levels of commitment to the task require a participating style to leadership, where the leader encourages and listens to followers. So let's look at transformational leadership. This is a more modern take on traits leadership. In this theory, the leader is capable of motivating and inspiring staff to transcend their own interests for the shared goals of the organisation or the group by appealing to their values. Followers would admire and respect the leader, and it's based on emotion and values rather than a rational manager approach. The leader has a clear and compelling vision, the capacity to stimulate creativity and innovation, and is capable of engendering confidence and optimism. This theory has been well researched since the 1980s and can be argued to be one of the first theories that links leadership to innovation. Transformational leaders use vision and emotion to lead. One example could be somebody like Richard Branson in the UK. So nothing to do with dementia, but just an example of somebody who demonstrates transformation.